All right. Hello, everybody. How's it going? I am just getting everything all set up here. We're waiting for a few other folks to join. We've got currently 164 Howlers online here, and we should have about 500 when everybody logs on. That's ticking up. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Hanukkah. I hope everyone is doing well. Very excited to chat with you guys. Pierce is waiting in the wings. He's very excited as well. Hello, everybody. As we're all getting on here, the first and foremost rule of the evening is be kind to each other in the chats. I have almost never had any issues with any Howlers not being kind to each other, but I will be booting people if you are assholes, because this is a community that supports each other. So that is rule number one. We love you guys, and we know you love each other, but thanks for, being nice.
You're getting a compliment on your rubber tree.
Oh, a compliment on my rubber tree. Thank you. I bought this tree when it was about this tall, and now it's taking over my living room. It's like the Little Shop of Horrors. I think I will name it Seymour.
You have someone from Germany saying hello.
Oh, we have somebody from Germany saying hello. That is amazing. Also, the voice that you may or may not be able to hear on the side is Christine, who is over here. I'm just going to show you real quick. She's supposed to be the sneaky wizard behind the curtain, but instead, I'd rather show you guys. She's going to be whispering things from the chat as we get going here and feeding me information like a blue in my ear. It's going to be great. I also love Christine's artwork. She designed these shirts for everybody who doesn't know. Okay, we are just about at 300 people. I'm going to wait till about 7:35 here to get Pierce on, just to make sure that we have everybody who wants to join online. Can everybody hear me okay? I'm assuming that you can, but comment in the chat. Yes, thank you. All clear. Hello from Florida. Wow, this chat's moving fast. I feel like I should have taken illicit drugs before doing this so I could keep up. I just have whiskey, don't worry. Well, I actually can't see Ottawa. I love seeing all these: Canada, Ottawa, Missouri, Portland. I bet you we have every single state represented tonight, but I cannot read fast enough to keep up. Los Angeles, Wyoming.
Jamaica.
Wow, Jamaica. Holy cow. I love this. North Carolina, Texas. More Dutch around? Is somebody from where in the Netherlands? Scotland, Maryland. Oh my God, this is amazing. All right. I'm going to invite Pierce on here in just a minute. Before I do so, I already said this to folks who just gotten on. Please be kind to each other. That is rule number one. Our breakdown for the evening is sort of going to be a bit of a three-parter. The first part is going to be Pierce and I chatting. I have my wonderful master copy of questions that folks have kindly put into the Gmail form that we set up. So we selected some of our favorites. We'll be chatting through those. And then after we get through some of those, we're going to bring on our special guest for the evening, who most of you guys should know, PB Doodles and Alexis Lampley. PB is a fabulous artist who has been creating these incredible portraits of various Red Rising characters for a couple of years now, and we've worked with her on a few different projects. She did the Omnisphere Lupus t-shirt that we did earlier this year. We have a secret project in the works right now, and she also did all the characterizations for Alexis's incredible covers that we just dropped with Nerdy Ink. That brings us to Alexis. Alexis Lampley is the genius artist behind Nerdy Ink, who has become one of our favorite collaborators. And they will be on a little bit later, and they have some questions for Pierce. We have some questions for them. And we're all going to chat about creative collaboration and Red Rising. And then at the very end of the evening, we will be taking questions from this chat. Blair Brown, Pierce's sister, and also the head of Sons of Ares, and really the genius mastermind behind a lot of what we do at Shit Escalates, is in the wings as well. She will be trying to save comments and questions from the Q&A. So if there's anything we're not covering that you really want to hear, put it in the Q&A. The chat is probably moving so quickly that it'll be hard to keep up with. So the Q&A section will be the best place for you guys to leave questions. And then Blair will come back around and sort of loop us together at the end. And then once that's all done, we will talk everyone through Teleparty and Blade Runner. So that's the agenda for the evening. And without further ado, Pierce Brown is coming online. Pierce.
Hola. I don't have my sweater, so I have this for the Christmas cheer and the Helldiver band.
There it is. I will take blame. Well, it's not really my fault, but I did send the sweater, but the mail people, that's their fault. So
what are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do? Pierce, how's it going?
Oh, it's good. I'm trying to keep up with the chat, but it was like blazing by so fast. It's like really honing my speed reading. It's kind of like Darrow when he's doing the data drops.
I feel like you need, what's it, the mind, the center of the mind thing, what's it called?
Oh, the mind's eye.
Mind's eye. We should be in the mind's eye for this. We can keep up.
This shirt was actually given to me by my mother 5 minutes ago because I forgot to bring a t-shirt.
Oh,
yeah. It was just,
wait, you didn't bring any? You're at your parents' house right now, and you didn't bring any t-shirts with you?
We switched it up this year. My sister moved, so I've been staying with my sister, and I left all my.
I was just really hoping you'd like packed your whole bag and you'd forgotten to bring any t-shirts.
Nah, man, I'm just rocking Karate Kid look over here. It's
I mean, to each their own. I feel like you could pull it off.
Thank you.
What are you drinking tonight?
I am drinking. We got sent these amazing bottles of whiskey 3 days ago, so don't judge me. I've been actually trying to slow down. So
Yours is beating me.
As you guys know, The Witcher is on right now, so my sister and I have been binging them. We limit ourselves to 2 a night. I have not been doing 2 drinks tonight, obviously. Our amazing friend Alex, and what was his
Alex is he works for Westward Whiskey in Portland. If any of y'all are in Portland, stop by the distillery. Alex very kindly sent us these bottles to get us through the evening, and I feel like maybe he should have sent us each 2 based on how quickly we're going through these bottles.
Yeah, I don't know where EO is. She ran away to, I think, she's camera shy. I think she ran away to be with my family.
Yeah, maybe if I get Rupert over here, she'll come. And maybe not.
So.
Maybe not. All right, y'all. I feel like we have gotten to 301 participants. And since we have a limited time, we'll dive right into some of the questions that we have for tonight. Before we do that, though, I just wanted to say thank you to everybody for coming. This has really been a fun way for me to cap out the year with Shit Escalates. And it's so wild. When we started this 2 years ago at the beginning of the pandemic as a fundraiser, I never thought it would grow to be what it has grown to be. And it's been really fun to be able to be part of the community and interact with everybody. So we really appreciate your support. We have lots of fun stuff planned for next year. And we're really excited to see where it all goes. And I'm very, very thankful to have all of the amazing support from you guys that we do. So the first question, and I apologize, when we pulled these off of the Google form, we somehow lost track of all the names. So if you hear your question, you know it's you, but I don't know who asked these particular questions. So question number 1, Pierce, how did we meet? What's our origin tale?
Oh gosh, Joel. I don't think you liked me at first, but the feeling was mutual. Very mutual.
You liked me. I just didn't like you.
You think that was the case?
I don't really want to know the answer, actually.
We actually met through Joel's brother, Aaron, who I went to college with, and found out we lived in the same area in Seattle. And I was just starting to write Red Rising at the time, and went over to Joel's house, which, I like to think of the Phillips family as the Weasleys. I mean, these are the people that have Christmas cards with a huge Christmas tree burning behind them from last year.
Do that.
And you made pipe bombs growing up, and so you guys are very industrious, right? And so I went over to your house, and then I think we were like honestly sitting in front of the fire. And then I was talking about the sigil idea of basing it on alchemical symbols and the 14 different colors. And we talked to the Red Rising world for, I think, about 2 hours. So honestly, man, we became friends through Red Rising.
We did. Yeah. And even like before, like I remember talking about other books you were writing. This was before it was ever published. And I'm pretty sure I read drafts, various different drafts before they ever went to even a publishing house, when they were just going to your agent. And it's been a really fun process watching you grow as a writer, but also watching this whole world that you've built just blossom into
Well, you
the
get the
many
trippy,
faceted thing it is.
well, you get the trippy experience of seeing the things that never make it onto the final draft.
It's
So sometimes the funny thing is I'll talk to Joel about something that's happened in the series or something I'm thinking about for a new book. And he'll be like, well, doesn't that contradict this scene? Where, I don't know, Pax and Ragnar become friends. I'm like, well, that didn't happen because that didn't make it in the final book. So we have
yeah.
a lot of shared experiences over the last 10 years. And I mean, for a time, Joel and I would even go rent a cabin somewhere, and he'd work on his art and I'd work on Red Rising. And we'd basically keep each other on track for like 2 weeks at a time. It was great.
We need to do that again. We're gonna make it happen. I'm gonna keep this conversation moving here. We have another question. The next question, Pierce, what is your favorite holiday tradition or activity? Same page.
I do like our family gift giving. At Christmas morning, I put on an elf hat, and I end up delivering everyone the gifts. And somehow my voice always sounds like it's on helium, so I basically revert to like a 6-year-old me.
It does that. I mean, a good Christmas morning will do that to the best of us. It's true.
Yeah, pictures or it doesn't count. We'll see what we can do this year. You have to follow up with Blair on that.
Well, this year we're about to jump on a plane to Italy for our Christmas. We're gonna hopefully, if we can go, everything isn't shut down, wake up in Italy is our Christmas. So that'll be a different year this year.
Oh yeah,
right.
If a little technical thing, if we could spotlight both of us so they could see both of our frames at the same time, it'd be great. I think you need to. Otherwise, it's just gonna be whichever one of us is talking, and it kind of goes back and forth. So
I think that should be up to whatever people have settings on. So I think everyone else will see that right now.
Cool.
Even if that's not. But I'm not running this thing. The real brains is over here to my right. So she says we're good. Y'all let us know if you want us to change anything. Just fixed. Are we good? Much better? Good. Awesome.
Cool.
Thanks, guys. All right. Question number 2. What is a random topic that you could give a 20-minute presentation on without any preparation?
Pressure points.
Pressure points. Wait,
pressure
what?
Points. Man, for some reason, like one of my main procrastination things when I'm writing is like, because you're kind of achy in the chair. I'll like cathartically like look for pressure points online, and just imagine I have a masseuse driving an elbow into certain points of my body, and so I've gotten good at locating, identifying, and naming pressure points.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, at first I read that as like a nefarious sort of thing, like pressure.
Oh no, not emotional.
Body in two, or
not emotional pressure points. I'm not triggering people over here. No.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'll still keep away from jujitsu with you. Just safe. Question number 4: remove the ego. How long are you realistically lasting during the zombie apocalypse? Well, I feel like, honestly, we have to answer this question for each other because that's the only way to truly remove the ego. As friends who've known each other for, how long now?
How about I answer for you and you answer for me?
That's what I'm saying. So I'll answer for you and you answer for me. So you go, answer for me. How long am I going to last during the zombie apocalypse?
Considering, but here's a caveat. Joel and I had this conversation many times over the course of our friendship, and it has evolved because we both got LASIK this year.
We did.
And the primary reason I got LASIK mentally is because I didn't want to have to be a weight to my group and stop by the optometrist's office, right? Because otherwise I'm nearsighted and I wouldn't be able to tell if it's my friend coming in or a zombie.
Yeah, I'm imagining you with like Coke bottles and like a rock trying to like grind lenses down and like the end of days.
Yeah, honestly, I think you make it longer than I do. I think your pipe bomb making will really come in handy.
That militant homeschool background.
I, on the other hand, used to I saw bungee jumping in a movie and then tried to jump out of a tree with a regular rope. So I'm not sure I make it. Like 2 days. 2 days, like then I'll lie low and I'm.
Oh, you make it more than 2 days, but I will.
Man, I'm in LA, dude. Like
you're in LA. I mean, that's definitely the epicenter. Let's be honest.
Bad stuff,
Yeah, and in Oklahoma, I feel like I just had to knock on a neighbor's door and have an arsenal at my fingertips.
Yeah,
So,
here's the thing, man. I am a prepper. Like I like love seeing cans in my house. Like I have cans upon cans. Don't worry, I wasn't a hoarder during COVID. You don't have to like shame me. But I had already I had like gallons of water and like I have 2 earthquake survival kits. So, but the thing is, I think it's like in what's that game? Fortnite. I think it's like Fortnite. I'm the guy that got all the good shit and it gets capped in the side of the head, and then someone else is like, "Oh, look at all the cool gear."
Yeah, well, I mean, that could happen. That's true. I will say that I think you're right. I do outlast you. I definitely outlast you, but I last like approximately 12 days. And then I think I get bored of running from zombies, and I decide I want to make a painting of one of them, and then I get eaten. That's sort of how it all goes
See,
down for
Terry
me.
has already shown that she's going to survive longer. She's imminently more practical. She says get the little pump, a little filter pump, which is so true. Because
You know,
I used to go camping and do iodine and stuff, and that was ridiculously
I do have one in my basement, and I have one installed under my kitchen sink as well. So,
dehydrated water. Also, also good idea. That's
uh,
technology I'm introducing soon.
do we have a product placement here? This is going to be the Truman Show. Here's what you should.
Yeah,
Just kidding.
man.
We
And
do
it's
not
like,
have any shit escalates filters
yeah.
yet.
Although to be honest, my household would be great for surviving because I have so many weapons around. Because Joel sent me sides not too long ago. I have
Yes, I
here.
did.
I have from our master forger, the sling blade.
Yep.
I have
Connor, shout out to Connor.
got some Masazi spears. Yeah, could be some.
Yeah, it's true. Your house would be it would be a great place to try
I'm
to
more
survive.
worried about the people though. More worried about the people. I always am.
That's true. That's true. Well, moving on from these like slightly too close to comfort topics in the middle of a pandemic, we have a question about Shit Escalates merch. Is there any chance of you two working together to create some highly illustrated special editions or a World of Red Rising compendium?
Interesting
Mm.
ideas. Yeah. So we surprised we never talked about that, huh?
Oh my God. We've talked about that how many times? We've talked about this for years. I remember when the George R. R. Martin one came out, we were like, oh my God.
Yeah, yeah.
Make one.
I guess the question is, Joel, is there a market for it? Would people buy special editions of Red Rising with, cool artwork and stuff? And would
We're
they
getting a lot of yeses here.
Oh,
Yes, yes,
oh,
yes.
fantastic. Wow, so
um,
surprising.
the
Okay, so
answer
what
is,
would
is yes, we would love to do one. In fact, we've kicked around growing Shit Escalates that direction. We don't have any immediate plans for that, although
well,
we hope to do some
yeah, we're putting the framework down. A lot of it's
in
relied
the
on,
near future.
yeah,
Yeah.
his bandwidth for me and Joel. Like Joel's a lot on his plate with his art career and also managing all the Shit Escalates and getting all the drops to you guys. And I have my hands full, although it's, getting better on finishing up book 6. So I think it's, incumbent upon us to finish up our things that allow us to keep working.
I didn't say a word.
Really fun special.
I didn't say a word.
Book 6
Yeah,
ain't for Rare Bolton. It's just, don't want every question on it. That's all.
this is true. This is true. Well, yes, to come back around to this question, yes, we would like to. We have a lot of fun things in the works for next year. I'm just going to do a little teaser right now, real quick, for
Book
our
6
next big
rank.
project. We are going to be doing a Kickstarter. And that's all I'm going to say about it quite yet, but it's a project that's big enough that we are going to kickstart it. So that's all I'm going to say. There'll be more information soon from Shit Escalates. Yes. And that's all the plugs I'm going to make about merch. Now we're going to talk about things that I know you guys all actually want to hear about the book. And these are all questions for Pierce. So starting off questions on the books. I really like this first question. Again, I'm sorry, folks, for not knowing who wrote these. I would love to do shout outs, but this is a great question. It might be one of my favorite ones from the list. Pierce, when you're writing, do you change your mindset for different colors?
Oh,
Do
that's
you
really
jump
good.
from mindset to mindset for different colors as you're writing the POVs for different colors?
Yeah, totally. And a lot of it has to do with kind of the physicality of the character and how they exert their power. For instance, Lyria wants to do a lot of things, but can't do a lot of things. And so
Mhm.
you have to find ways around that. And it's easier than thinking about it from the author's perspective, is thinking about it from her perspective, how she'd accomplish something. It's
Mhm.
particularly different when I'm doing like, character who's in a POV but not the main character, so someone who's present in like Darrow or Lysander's POV. Um,
Mhm.
what I really like doing is really applying the different perspectives on different drafts. So I find the more I layer, like on second and third drafts, I find that I slip into it. It's easier for me to slip into a mental space when I'm not trying to figure out what the POV is saying. Once I already have that figured out, it's easier to find out. You know?
Mhm.
But yeah, to a degree, it'll also be mostly reflected based on the research I've been reading at that time for different characters, particularly the Greys, because they're trained in communal environments and militarized from a young age. So how would they have shorthand? They'd have more shorthand than anyone else.
Hmm.
Whereas Golds would have far more sophisticated, but how would I say? Self-aggrandizing speech patterns and things. Much more like, why would a Grey be self-aggrandizing in in a unit that functions off the pack mentality? That wouldn't be a characteristic that would survive. So yeah, certainly.
That's amazing. I'm going to take that one step further and ask a sort of connected and related question that I've always wondered about. Are there any characters? So I know from, as I've watched you write over the years, that you tend to be writing like one character's POV for weeks at a time. Even it's not like you're switching during the day. But are there any rituals that you sort of have to go through to write any particular characters to get in the headspace for writing them? Do you have anything that like sticks out to you for like getting into Darrow's mindset?
Well, Darrow's the only character I listen to music to when I write nowadays, because I find that his mindset, I'm sorry, his inside is far more how would I say it, not poetic, but kind of something like an iambic pentameter. He has like short choppy sentences followed by a long one, and Darrow's action scenes, I do listen to metal and things like that, because when Darrow's rage monster, his inner rage beast, comes out, it's not a voice that anyone else has in the series, and you really have to kind of get into that bucket mentality and survive off the pure momentum. Whereas Lysander, even when he's doing something action oriented, is far more considerate of his inner thoughts and things like that.
Huh. That's amazing.
Also, no, I don't keep a dictionary. What I really want to find is a great archaic thesaurus. That would be nice, because there's no good archaic thesaurus online. So like a lot of times I'll have, when I'm reading any like older book, like one of my favorite things is Plutarch's Roman and Greek Lives.
Yeah.
And I'll like highlight words that they use, and then take from that. It'd be nice to just have a dictionary that works.
Yeah. Okay.
Because the problem is with the dictionary is you're looking up a word, or you find a word and then you're trying to construe a sentence around the word, and it feels unnatural. So.
Well, and let's be honest too, like I don't think I've ever said a word in conversation you didn't already know what I was saying. So you're a walking dictionary yourself.
Oh, I don't know about that.
As if you need a dictionary. I've got another question here for you. At what point in the writing process do you pick the title for each book?
That's actually one of the harder processes for me, because often I'll start with the title that gets replaced by something that fits more. And honestly, it's hard for me to feel the tone of a book unless I know the title. It's a great question, because it's kind of a chicken egg scenario, which comes first. Sometimes the titles stick and are there from the inception, like Dark Age was there from the inception, but that makes sense because it's prophesied, or it's talked about so much by characters, particularly Lorne and Nero, talking about what a solar war would lead to, and so that one makes sense. But for other books, I sometimes even in the second draft will replace the title. And I remember Golden Sun was originally Golden Prince, and then my one of
I remember this.
Yeah, at Random House, my PR person David Mensch said that Golden Prince sounded too fabulous.
It does sound fabulous.
It does sound fabulous.
It does sound fabulous.
Yeah, but he said that it sounded too much like it came from Minnesota, like Prince the musician. So
Oh yeah,
yeah. So we went to Golden Sun instead.
Were there any other books?
That's so right. Golden Prince would be if Cassius is the main character. It's way
Yeah, it's funny. It feels like it would be a different book if it had that title.
And to be honest, Yeah, and to be honest, it fits better son because Darrow is essentially adopted into our
Hmm.
governor Nero Augustus's house, and
Hmm.
looking at him as being prospective heir. So it
Yeah.
does fit way better.
Well,
So
and that's one of
sometimes,
the main tensions of the whole book is that like his needing like a father figure and then
totally.
having to also know he has to portray this father figure.
And sometimes I have to see that from, or I have to find an outside perspective who can,
Mhm.
render a judgment on that. Yeah.
Were there any other books that had a title that changed that you remember that you sort of like wish you could have kept?
No, no.
No.
I
This
think that overall the titles have been ones that I've liked, and because I kind of just when I couldn't find the title for Lightbringer or for what was it, Morning Star. It was originally Lightbringer, and then I changed it to Morning Star because I read Morning Star when I was reading the Book of Revelations.
Hmm.
It's like if I can't find a title, I'll just read the Bible, or
Hmm.
I'll read the Iliad or Homer, the Odyssey, and that helps me string words together because I
Hmm.
found in Revelations that Satan was referred to as the light bringer and the morning star and all these things, and it made a
Hmm.
lot of sense.
Hmm. Wow. I feel like I should follow up on that, but we have so many other good questions that we have to get to. So I'm going to move on from that. Um, all right, we have another question here that was put in through the form on the email. The books state that gold culture um, is largely non-exist, and that gold women in the original trilogy hold a lot of positions of power. However, people still use insults like little girl or slurs about women's reproductive systems and womanhood. Was this an oversight, or were you trying to say that despite being more equal than other cultures, e.g., red, gold society is still sexist actually?
Well, I think that their sexism is something that can be eroded but never eradicated. And because of that, like it's endemic in red culture because of the way that the red culture is set up.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also in gold culture, I would say, it lingers from the past to a degree, but also there's insults about men's reproductive organs quite a bit as well. So I think that our lenses triggered us to look more for the comments about women, where there's
Mm-hmm.
just as many comments about men in the same regard, calling people little boys, calling, making fun of their dicks or their balls or having no testicles. And so I think
Mm-hmm.
like they're humans, and so they're going to pick out the things that humans pick out, and these are insults that have been around the whole time.
Hmm. Right. That's a good question. Do we have, I'm getting a signal from the side. We got one more question we're going to get through here. And so I'm going to jump ahead because we didn't get through some of these and ask a question about book 6. Let's see. We have 2 questions. I've got to figure out which one I want to do. This might be too revealing for book 6, but Pierce has mentioned that the theme of the second trilogy engages with fear. How do you think about fear in your own life, and how do you deal with it?
I think fear is the collar that restrains us from flying.
Mm.
It's throughout the whole series. I mean, the reason the first book has a wing on it that's red is because one, Random House liked it. Two, it's the wing sigil that the golds have here. But it basically is meant to represent characters being able to lift off the ground. Um, and I think fear is the thing that keeps us on the ground, keeps us from either doing something that we want to do, but we're afraid of because of the repercussions. And it's this thing that exists within our brains to really shackle us and create chains. And so, in many ways, it is the core conceit of the entire series about the chains that shackle us. And the last series, or the first 3 books were about the physical chains, and this one, this series is more about the mental chains because it's a society that is trapped in this constant cycle of self-destruction and internecine warfare, including the golds and humanity in general. And that was one of the comments that the golds had about humanity, is that it is self-destructive. And so what makes it self-destructive? Well, I say it's fear of scarcity. It's fear of being kind, because if you're kind, you expose yourself and you're vulnerable to people who are not like that. It's the same line that, what is it? Cruelty is as a thermal runaway. Because if one side can't be merciful because they're afraid the other side won't be merciful. And they talk about, I think it's Calendora tells Lysander that the cruelty in this war just keeps escalating because individuals are afraid to show mercy.
Hmm.
So for me, this new, the book 6 is in many ways a culmination of the themes of the entire series,
Hmm.
both mental and physical shackles, not just of the Reds, but of the society itself
Hmm.
and gold itself,
Hmm.
which is, a question Lysander will be seeking out in book 6, and Darrow will be understanding his own fear. What have his fears made him do? For instance, the dockyards of Ganymede. He destroyed those because he feared what might happen if he didn't. But
Hmm.
by doing so, he created another conflict.
Wow, that's a great
And
answer.
how often do we do that? Pretty often.
We do. I feel like I should ask one more question about book 6, but instead I want to ask a follow-up question really quick to that. And then we're gonna have then
One
was
more
that?
caveat. Sorry, I know.
Yeah, keep going, keep going.
One thing I've noticed about myself, I think in the last 2 years, is that when I am negative or cutting, like in my own life, or when I hurt someone's feelings, it's almost always because I'm reacting to an insecurity being exposed. And reacting to an insecurity being exposed is me operating based on fear instead of operating from a place of confidence where a small comment wouldn't bother me because I wouldn't worry about being an insecurity being exposed. And I think a lot of the problems in our world are caused by that, knee-jerk reaction. And if we were less afraid, even on an individual level, about how we're represented or how we represent ourselves, I think that a lot of our actions would be different. And I think that's true with the characters as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny. It reminds me of, like, we were joking at the beginning of this conversation about how I didn't like you when I first met you. I think the reason I didn't like you when I first met you is I saw how much we had in common. And that often, I think, like, most of my best friends are people I didn't actually like when I first met.
Isn't
And
it
the
funny?
reason I didn't like them is because I saw things about myself in them.
True.
And
And
so
also,
there's a sort of like self-reflective knee-jerk reaction that you end up doing. And, um, yeah,
and it's
God,
funny, you react sometimes that way when you see worth, you know,
yeah.
because you feel threatened and wonder if you're worthy too. My dad talks about that a lot, like about making me, understanding that I am worthy. And it's one of the
Yeah.
great lessons my dad's taught me. And he's walking by, so I get some brownie points.
Well, so that actually leads me to that follow-up question I had real quick. I know we're running a little bit past here. But when you're thinking about fear, I know for me as an artist, fear is something I have to constantly battle in my creative process. So what are the tools that you use to sort of push that away, that fear?
Sorry, I lost you there for a sec. Can you say that again? I think you got muted.
Working.
Oh, there you are. You're back.
Did I disappear?
I heard okay, that was it.
Oh gosh, I don't know if anyone else heard any of that. So what I asked was, what are the tools that you use when you're writing to battle fear? Because I know for me in my creative process, there's a lot of fear that people won't like something, fear that it won't be received well, fear that it won't be as good as I want it to be. All of these different layers of fear within the creative process. So what do you do when you're working to combat that?
Well, it's funny because for a long time, I would use whiskey, or I would smoke cigarettes, or I would find something to numb myself so I wouldn't be feeling the fear,
Mhm.
and gain sort of false confidence. And then I realized, and I think a lot of that has to do with, as the books got more successful, I wanted it to live up to the expectations of the readers, because I really do care about the feedback and the opinions, and I want the characters, if they die or they have something emotional happen, or I want it to live up to expectations. And so that created an unusual stressor, because I wasn't afraid of writing. I love writing, I can always write, but I would write sideways because I would be afraid to make a decision that would compromise the integrity of a character.
Hmm.
And then lately, I kind of had a renaissance, I suppose, and was realizing that I could put that fear into the writing itself and into the
Hmm.
characters themselves, and also that it's my world. And yeah, there's a lot of people here who feel as attached to it, but in the end, it was my world, and was born out of the confluence of things that I discovered and I fell in love with in science fiction, fantasy, and history, etc., and decided to apply and synthesize into a world and make one. And so it's having more confidence in, even if a decision is wrong, it's my decision to make,
Yeah.
and being able to actually explore on the page and not be afraid of that. So
Mhm.
the best way of doing it for me is sinking into the world, sinking into the character. not getting hijacked by music or something else to find the tempo or emotion in a scene, but
Mhm.
instead to find why I care about it, identify with the character, and then what are they feeling, and where do I want to take it in the world. So it's basically like it's my sandbox, and remembering
Yeah.
that I get to sit in the sand, feel it between my toes, and play, because that's what
Yeah.
this was. All this started off was me playing.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's funny. It reminds me, I have on the back of my studio door, I write down things that I want to remind myself every day. And one that I recently wrote down was, you will never achieve success by ensuring it against failure, and realizing that there's a sort of like, you can't get to where you want to be by if you're operating in this mode where your sort of root emotion is fear. You can't ensure against failure. You just sort of have to do what you feel like is the right, for you, the right move with the character, the right sentence, the right tone, and believe in that. And that's hard to do. And it's something that I've watched over the years with you. It's been really amazing to watch you both grow as a writer, but also how much harder it is to write each subsequent book, because you're aware of how much people care about these characters you've written. You really want to do right by this world, and it gets more complicated by the minute. The more layers there are to it, the more people that have read it. And that's, I have so much admiration for you as a writer in that space.
Hugs.
Yeah.
Aw.
We do have to go quickly from that little tearjerker of a moment there, into introducing our next folks who are going to be joining us. I mentioned them at the beginning of this call, and they've been waiting in the wings, judging all of our chats here. They're jumping on now. We have PB Doodles and we have Alexis Lampley, and they are artists. They are creators. Can you hear us? Do you have PB? It looks like your mic is still off.
I'm unmuted.
Hi, Alexis. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Oh, I'm great. I'm drinking whiskey and talking to Pierce. It's always a good time. Hi, PB. How's it going?
Going good. I'm here with my mead. So
there you go. Drink of the gods right there. Just to fill everyone here in a little bit, I think most of you probably know who both of these incredible artists are, but I'm going to plug them one more time. PB is a character artist who I first found, I don't know who sent me her work. I think Pierce might have, and was like, oh my God, these are amazing visualizations of the characters. And we've since collaborated on several projects. Alexis, I met, I think within like days of creating the Nerdy, or the not Nerdy Inc. You run Nerdy Inc. The Shit Escalates account. You messaged me, and we ended up immediately talking about collaborations. We've done several now, including the most recent Dust Jackets. But the whole thing I wanted to talk about this evening, and I feel like Pierce is frozen. Oh no, you're not. You're just very, very still. You're in the mind's eye over here. Okay.
No. People get creeped out by that sometimes. I'll be sitting on the couch. My parents are like, "You okay?"
So for the audience here, both PB and Alexis found Red Rising through reading the books. They are fans of the books. They read the books. They love the books, and then we have since collaborated on several different projects with Shit Escalates. Tonight, right now, in this moment right here, is their first time actually meeting Pierce, which this was my my maniacal PR person here was like, oh my God, I want to have this be part of the conversation, because as a creative person, I think creative collaborations are at the root of all amazing, wonderful things. And I've really enjoyed working with both of these amazing artists on projects this year. But I wanted to allow us to have a conversation from the point of two artists who have now worked with Pierce and me, and see what sort of questions you guys have for Pierce. I have some questions for you, but those will come after. So I'm going to put you each on the spot here and see, you're both artists. You've worked with Pierce.
Oh God, they're going to ask about why don't I give more facial character descriptions? I really like.
Who wants to go first, Alexis or PB? Pick your poison.
Go first, Alexis.
Oh.
All right.
What a martyr, PB. What a martyr.
Okay, fine. Mine are probably not as deep as hers anyway. So it's okay. So the first question I have is, do you have any aspirations after Red Rising is complete that might be surprising?
Oh man, I don't know if they're surprising, but yeah, I have so many. I have 2 fantasy worlds I really want to get into. Desperately. Oh man, three. I have 3 fantasy worlds I really want to get into. Lamplighters is one that's like this mutant baby of Indiana Jones and like an R-rated Harry Potter. Um, yeah, it's so fun and so cool. I say this unbiased.
I also believe it's cool, but I also
Yeah.
have
And
bias.
then there's like a more traditional high fantasy one I want to get into about the birth of gods, and play in a world. That one will be really fun. The title is so cool, but I want to spoil anything. So yeah, I'll dive in. The problem will be choosing where to go next. Next,
Right.
yeah, because there's a lot of history. I mean, I love Greco-Roman history, but there's a lot of other areas of history I want to, rip off and cannibalize for my own writing purposes. So definitely in those worlds, and I'd love to do kind of how would I say it? Well, I can't really explain that one very well. So yeah, those ones.
Nice. Okay, well then that kind of goes into, well, that renders the next question moot because it was
about fantasy.
no. Well, it was wondering if you would want to jump into a different genre or stay in sci-fi because, like with me, I go with a lot of ideas and I go from one thing to another. So I just didn't know if that was how you did it as well.
Oh yeah, I bounce all back and forth. My Venn diagram is pretty big in what I enjoy. And someone actually spotted it. Tamara Crane. Yeah, Lamplighter was a poem mentioned by Darrow when he was in the Table of the Jackal. So yeah, I planted that little kernel a long time ago. And
Was that because Lamplighter came out of when we were in Seabrook at when we were staying in a cabin?
Yeah,
Did you write that while you were there? The whole part with the jackal on the table?
I wrote the part where Romulus and Darrow first met in the garden when I was
right.
The rim section.
Yeah.
But yeah, some of the Lamplighter stuff was definitely built out then.
I love it. PB, question, go.
Okay, I had to write it down because I forget. Okay, so it's been a long-standing joke between Rebecca and I after the Dark Age that if I ever got to talk to you in person, which I never thought that it was going to happen, that I would ask, who hurt you? Because I had to put so many times. But there is a serious question that comes from that because writers write what they know, and the relationship between Darrow and Severo is probably one of my favorite friendships out of all the fiction that I've ever read. And so I want to know if there is an actual real life inspiration for that relationship.
Oh yeah. So my parents are from Iowa, and we moved back there when I was like 9 to like 12 or something. And there's this kid who lived up the way from me who went to the same elementary school named Alex Wakeland, who actually, he's been in touch over the years, and he actually came to a few of the cons I've been to. But Alex, was this scrawny redheaded kid with, teeth everywhere, freckles, and just an absolute maniac. And like we were both pyromaniacs. I got in a fight one time, and then like Alex like jumps on this guy's back and just starts like attacking him. And Alex weighed like as much as a wet rag. Then he ended up like growing up and being like 6'3", and it was an MMA fighter for a little while with tattoos everywhere. So he grew into Severo, and he started as Severo. So yeah, it was kind of like that absolute loyalty. And I remember we got into middle school where all of a sudden you're with all the different elementary schools, and there's like the whole popularity thing comes in for like the first time. And Alex was always just such a loyal friend, and just never asked a question. He was always like, who are we fighting? It's not like why. Never a why. but like I probably my parents probably had to check to make sure I had my tetanus shots just because of this kid.
That's awesome.
I've always been a little jealous that Severo wasn't inspired by me, but also very glad that Severo wasn't inspired by me. So
I'm sure Christine is.
Christine is also very glad that Severo was not.
Severo's got some body maintenance issues, man. How's that rash doing, by the way?
All right, Alexis, another question. Do you have another one?
Yeah.
I want to make sure we have time for you guys to ask you guys questions too.
Okay. Do you judge books by their covers?
Oh yeah, certainly. Sorry, especially young adult books. There's some really cheesy covers out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I also remember I stayed away from fantasy. I stayed away when I first started like reading George R. R. Martin in like sophomore year of school, which is back in like 2004, or maybe three. And then but I stayed away from Robert Jordan for a long time because of how dorky the covers were. And then I just absolutely fell in love with him. After I ripped through Martin, I had to go through Jordan, and then I just like tackled the Wheel of Time in like 2 months. But I stayed away for a long time. Yeah. I also picked up Jonathan Strange because of its Mr. Norrell and Jonathan Strange because of its awesome cover, which is just a white raven on black. Curious Case of Joshua. Whatever. You know what book we're talking about. Anyways,
one of the best fantasy books of all time.
Yeah, and that was just such an amazing cover because it's just a raven on black, a white raven on black, and it's I picked that up because of its just beauty, and then fell in love with the story. So I've been known to judge it. I've been known to judge a few romance books by their covers, and then you read them. I'm like, oh, it technically it literally is a bodice ripper.
Quick follow-up question: have you watched Wheel of Time, the show? What do you think?
That's it.
No. All right, moving on. PB, next question. What do you got?
No. I do like it. I just think, it would do a lot for the show if everyone was a little dirtier, because the world just feels a little bit too like, I don't know, like it's like shot in a lot. That's it. But
okay.
Whereas The Witcher's all gritty and sexy.
It's funny. Literally, like the last time we were watching this, Christine turned to me and she was like, "I like how dirty one of the characters feels." So you might have some debate points here. But moving on from that, because we're talking about Red Rising, not Wheel of Time.
Yeah, Red
Wheel of
Rising.
Time is great. PB, what do you got?
Okay, so as a fellow creative person, I'm really interested in other fellow creatives' routines, and I'm really curious about how you overcome what Stephen Pressfield calls resistance, or what he considers the greatest evil for all artists. Have you read art?
Sorry, I lost the last part.
The last one sort of froze, but Stephen Pressfield's great.
Yeah, I was wondering, as an artist and in your routine, how you overcome what he considers resistance or the greatest evil for all artists to overcome.
The funny thing is, I have no problem with resistance because I'll sit down and I can work for 10 hours. But like I mentioned earlier, writing sideways is my problem, because I'll just write and exist in the world. And I think like you'll see this in almost every fantasy or sci-fi series that goes on like a lot of books. One of the case in points would be like Robert Jordan. He would write sideways all the time, and he would just be thickening out the world instead of driving the story forward.
Mm-hmm.
So I find that my difficulty is more so not sitting down, not the act of doing it, but it's actually committing to something while doing it. So how we overcome that is setting like you need a flagpole to run toward, or a sign to run toward. So it's like I'll know I have to write up to somewhere. I mean, Pressfield's one of my favorite writers out there. I've read every one of his books. I adore him probably multiple times. Resistance is a true thing. But it goes back to that thing about fear, because resistance comes from fear of not doing it right? And so what I would do if I need to really get something out is I'll put a stopwatch on, or an app on my phone or something. I don't write with my phone in the room, but I'll set an alarm and for 3 hours. And so I'm sitting there and I have to be there for 3 hours working, and I don't have anything else active. One of the reasons, like I used to be very active writing back to fans on messages and email and stuff like that. And I found that I was just doing that instead, acting like I was being responsible instead of actually writing. And that's been hard for me to check out of that, because I feel as though I love being part of the community and it's great to be communicative. And I also think that I don't like artists who feel like they're above the people that they write for. But in the end, it comes down to, are you going to do the work or not? And I find that if I have an in, and an out, that makes it easier. If I have an unidentified length of time in front of me, I will spend all that time doing the unidentified task, which could be nothing. You know what I mean? So you can sit there for 10 hours and do nothing. And that's when you either write sideways, or you dilly-dally, or you research, or whatever it is. And so you have to have a goal, like even if it's like to finish a certain scene or get to a climactic point or whatever. And you have to have a time frame, I think. So it's those two things have to exist hand in hand.
Quick question for you, PB. What was the name of that book by Stephen Pressfield that quote was from? I can't remember the name.
The War of Art.
The War of Art. So little plug for everyone in the audience here. The War of Art was one of a formational book for me. I know it was also for Pierce. Sounds like it was for you as well, PB. It's a very short read about the creative process, and highly recommend reading The War of Art. It's a really amazing book.
It can be summed up in the Nike slogan though, just do it.
It can. I mean, it's like sort of annoyingly simple, but I remember when I first started out as an artist that I remember it felt like it hit some chords and it really helped me move forward. So highly recommend reading it, even if it's a little bit simple in spaces.
Yeah, and I'm kind of curious, Joel, Alexis, and PB, how do you guys do it? Because we all have resistance in our own ways, and for me, it's perfectionism. And I let the perfect get in the way of the good, right? And particularly when you're doing a piece of art, every line counts. Now you could say the same thing about books, but really I'm going to have an editor. I'm going to have something else. You guys all have to be the final word on each piece you do. So how do you get over that fear of starting?
Well, I mean, it's funny. I'm going to actually slightly segue here into the thing that I feel like I need to do or should do if I want to just focus on my art is kill shit escalates, because it's taking up all of my time. I'm not gonna kill it. I love shit escalates. It's actually become this really amazing counterpoint to my normal artistic practices. When I'm feeling stuck, I can sort of pivot and say, I'm gonna make a crazy thing over here and do that. And it feels like I can, sort of put on a different hat and shift gears. But as far as actually getting going in the studio in the morning and staying put, it's always a battle. I feel like I have a different strategy every other week. I hide my phone from myself. I literally, at one point, I had a lock box that I would literally lock my phone in a box, and I had a key, and then I would take the key across the studio, and I had a special hook, and the hook said, "Don't fucking take this key down, you asshole," in big bold letters above it. And then I would have to go, because I was like, I would get stuck, and I'd be like, oh, and I would hit, what Stephen Pressfield calls resistance, and I would immediately want to, entertain myself, essentially fall into that space instead of working. I wouldn't want to work through the hard thing. I would want to immediately transition to the other thing, and that's always a battle. Right now, it's less of a battle because I've been exploring a new thing. I've started painting recently, and it feels so new. It's exciting. It feels less of a, I just don't want to stop. But a couple of weeks ago, it felt different. So it's always a battle.
Mm-hmm.
PB, what do you do?
What do I do? Well, sometimes I wake up and I wonder how on earth I've actually done anything in my life. So I'm the kind of person who literally like sit on the floor and stare at a wall for a couple of hours, just hoping that something happens. And of course, it never happens. I share an office with Rebecca, so there's been times where I would be like, hide my phone from me. I'll do it with my husband, like take my phone, do not give it back to me, and for the rest of the day. Because I'll do the same thing. I'll be on Instagram, I'll be talking to people, I'll be doing research or whatever. It's never research, it's always me screwing around. So for me, the frustrating thing for me is I know the minute I get started, I won't be able to stop. It's just the getting started, and sometimes it literally takes me like 8 hours just to sit down and do it, which is such a time waster. That I'm working on getting better about. But I do notice that if I start my day right and if I get up early, I usually have no problems. It's the minute my morning routine gets irritated or like upset that I'm just like, well, I guess it's a wash.
Out of curiosity, do you think that's does that come from a feeling of guilt that you've interrupted your routine, that you've already wasted time, that you don't have time?
Oh yeah. It's a total guilt thing. It's gosh, it's a lot of things. I think it's, going back to talking about fear, it's that fear of like, oh, you'll never be good enough, or you're going to fail at this, or no one's going to like your stuff, or it's just a consistent battle of like, why do I even bother? And then I'll just get into the groove. I'll put on some like music that I have a Skyrim sleep playlist that I've listened to 6 billion times, and I won't hear it, but it's one of the few things I can just put on and just get into the zone where it just gets me out of my head. Because the minute I can remove like the angry gorilla I named Susan out of my brain, I'm fine. But I've got to get past the angry gorilla named Susan every time.
Yeah. Susan's bitch. I get it.
Alexis, what do you got?
All right. So mainly having kids helps a lot with this, because all the time that you have free is precious time. I mean, I can't afford a lot of times to screw around because I only have so much time. But I also have ADD, so I have this lovely little.
Did you get that for yourself, or did your friend get it for you?
I got this in like an owl crate box, and then I was like, oh, I'm putting this on it and I'm leaving it here forever.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah. So, but I mean, so a lot of it is just knowing how precious your time is because I have ADD though, like for me, like, okay, so starting isn't an issue because I'm usually like, I've got 1,800 projects and not enough time to do them. So I'm like itching to start something. So I'll get right into it. But then as far as like doing stuff, if I start to get distracted, especially if it's on my phone, I'll watch Netflix on my phone so I can't pick it up. And then like, cause I like to have to split my time. So like I got to binge watch a movie or show or whatever and draw or something on my phone if I start to go for it. And so it's all kind of balancing the ADD thing and then just not having the time. Pretty much is just not having the time.
That's something I hear from all my friends who have kids. All of a sudden they realize how their precious self beforehand was so comical. Like,
yes.
You're like, oh, the heyday when I had time to waste.
Yes, it's like what was I doing? Like I have story ideas for like 8 different books and like I could have written every single one of them in a year before I had kids. And now like what did I do? What did I do with my time?
One thing I found that's been really helpful is whenever I embark on a new creative pursuit, I write down when I start it, I write down like just on one page why I'm starting it and what I want it to be. And when I having a bad day, or like when the Susans come out, or when I'm getting distracted between projects, a lot of times I'll bounce between projects, but then get a lot done in the morning and then like bounce to the next project and have an inability to find that same adrenaline or attention and focus because I've somehow used it, or then I'll just dick around for like 2 hours. And so it's like it's easier for me to get back on focus when I have a needle pointing north. And that needle pointing north is that page of why am I doing this? And if you see it at the beginning, it's a great way of gauging time and also on reflecting on what you're actually trying to do and maintaining your course throughout. So I found like a mission statement is also very helpful.
That's great.
Real quick, just because I know we're about to hit 8:30. No one's going to get booted at 8:30. I've been told by the guru running this to my right that we are good to go. I'm having a great time. I think we've got some more questions. And then I know we also want to loop back around to Blair, who has all of the Q&A questions from the actual chat during the Zoom. So I have 2 more questions, 1 more question for each of you guys, and then we're going to get to Blair, and Blair's going to ask Pierce and or me, but mostly probably Pierce because that's who you're here for.
I don't know about that, Joel. You created shit escalates. So they're here because of you.
Well, technically speaking, but anyway.
Yeah, but if I was doing the art for Red Rising without you 3 geniuses, it would just be like squiggly lines and occasionally like an amorphous looking stick figure stabbing someone.
This is true. I will speak to it. I have a napkin where Pierce drew the first attempt at the first red sigil, and it literally looked like it was drawn by somebody who was right-handed, that had their left hand amputated, and then their right hand amputated, and then they had to draw with their toes upside down.
I was channeling Jamie Lannister. I was learning a new craft with the opposite hand.
Well, that's funny.
Ironically, I was told by a teacher one time that my handwriting was like I was writing on the back of an ATV.
It's very bad. I've tried to read his handwriting.
Remember the helmet I did? Remember the
I do remember this. Yeah, I do.
It had the right silhouette.
It's true. It did. And you know, it's funny. As an artist, I've worked with a lot of different people to visualize various visions, whether that's as a graphic designer, as a portraitist, with people who want a sense of drawings of themselves. And one of the things I love most about working with you is that you visualize everything. Like you have a film in your head when you write your book. That's not true with most people I've worked with, but that's a distraction and a whole different road I don't want to go down because we're talking about PB and Alexis right now. God damn it. I have a question for Alexis. Alexis, you have a tattoo on your forearm that this is so wild to me because I literally designed this for Pierce before Red Rising was even a thing. And this was us like farting around being like, it's gonna be amazing that people will read it. And we made this thing. This was the House Mars sigil. Can you show everyone this tattoo?
Yeah. Okay. Hold on.
Oh my God, it's so good. It's so
Okay.
good.
I'm trying to get closer. It's a very awkward angle. Wait, I could just
It's
stand up.
beautiful. And I'm very biased. I will, of course, say it's beautiful because, you know, I mean, there's a lot of reasons I would say that.
And one caveat, people are asking why people's hands get cut off in Red Rising. It's because if you cut off someone's foot, they can't run away. And a lot of times I don't want to kill a character in a scene. And they're also sword fighting with their hands. So it makes sense. Anyway.
That does make sense. Alexis, what possessed you to get that tattooed on your body? I'm just kidding. I don't even know that. I know that they're beautiful books and everyone here loves the books. But I do want to know what was the point where you were like, oh my God, I love these enough to get a tattoo? Because that's a different point. What was that transition point for you?
It all kinds of goes together. So this tattoo is like all the books that really impacted me in one way or another. So like, I might as well just stand up. Obviously, you've got Red Rising, which is the wings are the golds. You got a little bit of the sigil here. Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings. I gotta look at it. The Hunger Games. I have a younger sister. I felt like Katniss. Game of Thrones. Nevernight. This says a daughter of words. It's everything I do has to do with words, so it made sense. These that go into little dots, which you can't see really well right now, but the dots are dust for his dark materials. And then like obviously Red Rising. So Red Rising, I had it on my radar, and then Karina from Crate asked me to do like a little card to put in her thing, like a letter something. And I was like, oh yeah, I've been meaning to read those, so I'll do it. Well, I was pregnant with my youngest daughter, and I read them in like quick succession. And when I got to the end of Morning Star, I had been laying in bed with my daughter. My oldest daughter, she stayed in our bed, and my husband was asleep, my daughter was asleep, and I had been reading, and it was such an emotional roller coaster. And I was so like, I had so many pregnancy hormones that I hid in the bathroom and I cried uncontrollably for 20 to 25 minutes. I could not stop. Like, it's funny now, but like at the time I couldn't calm myself down. And like, obviously we know how it ends. So there was that moment, you know, but I didn't throw the book because I had to see how it ended. But I couldn't, there was too many emotions and I had too many hormones going on, and I just lost it. And so you should really have like a pregnancy warning for your books, Pierce. Just, you know.
Or also we could just like sell the book with like pregnancy hormones, and everyone will have that experiment.
It was incredible.
And everyone will have Red Rising tattoos, and it will take over the world.
I'm just so glad I didn't read like freaking Dark Age while I was
Oh
pregnant.
My God. I know we're running out of time, and I don't want to rush you, but PB, you have been writing, not writing, you've been creating these amazing characterizations of all of the different characters in Red Rising. So I have sort of a twofold question, because I started following you, I think when Pierce sent me your stuff. Question number one, who was the first character that you drew?
Okay.
And question number two, you obviously, as we've gotten to know each other, you love a lot of things about a lot of different books. Why was it Red Rising that you really connected with and started making these characters of? So,
question number one, actually looked through my Instagram earlier in case this question came up, and it was actually Adrius. Like, I was beginning to draw portraits again after a very, very, very long dry streak of no art, and so I was just like, I'm gonna draw this guy, and it's not great. It's whatever. And then, so I like to consider my very first official one was a pencil of Several I did, because Several was my favorite character. And so that was my first one. And then, so I had initially listened to just the first half of Red Rising while painting Rebecca, who's sitting next to me, her basement. She was like, you just got to listen to this book. It's just really good. So I was like, okay, whatever. So we're painting, and like, I'm off in wherever I was, and that was kind of the end of it. Well, I think it was last October of 2019, I hit a really bad low point. And I was just like, I've gone through all my books. Things were just not great. And I texted Rebecca and I was like, what was the name of that book series that you sent me? Because I really need to, I need something. That book was like crack to me. I don't know what it was. I went through that book in 2 days and like successively, I have read it multiple times. Red Rising, the first book, has just been my favorite always. That's the one that I've listened to so many times. There's something about the relationships of the characters in there that I just find so warm and fuzzy. So I call it my comfort book. And like anytime I'm upset, like Red Rising, just Red Rising all the time. Dark Age is like also Minecraft for me, I guess. I don't know. Like if I need
That's such a warm and fuzzy book.
What? So I think honestly, what because reading is like what I do, but for some reason, Red Rising, there was just something about how amazing and realistic the characters were, and then how deep their character arcs were, and then their relationships that I just kept coming back to that I hadn't found in any other book. And like I said, I've listened to them so many times that every single time a character dies, it's like listening to them die again. You just develop these like maybe slightly unhealthy attachments to these characters, probably. And because I just needed that specific book at that time, the characters just came to life in my mind. And I just had this like extreme inspiration to like, I need to start drawing these people that mean so much to me, even though they don't exist. I need to draw them. I need to have them here, which sounds kind of crazy. So there's that. But yeah, it was just one of those books that just hit at the right time, at the right place. And it's just honestly, in my opinion, one of the best science fiction books I've ever read. So there you go.
It's a very astute opinion, well researched.
I don't think you're gonna have any argument here. Oh my god, that was
out of curiosity, do you think about the characters actually like when you're when you guys are drawing them?
Yeah. In fact, I have a couple so I have a huge love-hate relationship with Cassius. I think the people who follow me on Instagram know that. Like I love to hate him. Like that's a very unpopular opinion.
Me too.
But Cassius for me is a character that I'm constantly, when I'm drawing, thinking like in a way trying to understand, like if I was like right now I'm working on bearded Cassius, Dark Age Cassius, and this is the first time I've drawn Cassius where I really felt like I was able to get into where you were at that deep emotion. Like what would it be like to have an orphan and then have your heart broken by the one woman you love, and what would that look like on someone's face? So yeah, I don't know if that answers the question.
No, it does. It does.
Yeah.
It does, because it's you're trying to capture the feeling.
Yeah, and so I will admit that there have been some character portraits I've done that have been like emotional, which is weird to admit, but some of these ones are just like, I don't know. Again, the characters came at a time when I desperately needed them to, so I feel like if I don't try to embody how they feel, I feel like I'm doing them a great injustice. So yeah.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
How I feel when I write them too.
It's a world that is like bigger than any one person at this point, which is pretty wild. I know it comes all out of Pierce's genius, wild, crazy brain, but it's been such a fun thing for me to be able to interact with it too. I feel the same way, PB, that it's like this. It's just it's an honor to be able to play with that space a little bit. So
it's fun when Joel really resonates with the character, because he's so, I feel like you are, you've listened to so much, read so much, that you can become somewhat, I love you, but you can be jaded to things. And so when I get you, it feels so good when it gets the right guy.
I am jaded. It's true. My heart has been broken too many times by you, Pierce.
I promise not to do it in book 6.
All right, this conversation is so good. Oh God, I'm not gonna say anything. We have Blair Brown, Pierce's sister, who also runs Sons of Ares. She has been collecting Q&A. Hi, Blair. How's it going?
Hi, BB.
Hi, guys.
Blair has questions that y'all have been putting into the Q&A this whole time, and she's gonna take it from here. She is now in charge. I'm gonna shut my mouth. unless
I've
I'm
literally
acting.
missed the entire thing because I've been trying to answer questions or like read the questions. So I'm like, what did we talk about? But
Everything.
so
We solved everything. All the world's problems.
yeah, all the things. I'm glad I missed all
Omicron,
the
world hunger,
emotions. So I'm
climate
fine
change.
missing these.
Secretly, she just wants to go finish The Witcher with me.
We're
on
episode-
We have episode 7 and 8, so we have an important night.
You're
tomorrow.
watching Blade Runner with me, Pierce, not The Witcher. God
We
damn
are.
it.
We post
You're a
the
poor
article tomorrow.
substitute. Yeah.
It's Harrison Ford. Oh God, The Witcher is
He
so
gets
good.
the other
though.
perspective
I'm
of
with
The
you.
Witcher when he watches it with me, though. All I
All
say
right.
is tight butt.
God,
Pierce
Henry
agreed.
Cavill. He's so
Okay.
Like,
good.
Pierce, this is why people watch shows. Like,
Butts? Good to know. I'll tell my guys.
gotta know how you keep all of the people interested.
All right,
The
we'll-
long hair, dirty look too.
All right,
Oh,
long hair,
it's
dirty look.
absolutely about him being dirty. He is
Yeah.
not attractive to me otherwise.
Wait, so as Superman, you don't think he's attractive?
I think he's good looking, but it doesn't do anything for me.
Christine agrees with you over here. She's shaking her head. She's like, no, he's not.
Girls,
What about the
we'll
butt
have
chin?
our
I thought the
own
butt
chat
chin was
later.
a thing. I thought the butt chin was a thing.
Best thing about Henry Cavill is he has
No.
2 butts.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
And they're both
And on
very
that
attractive.
note,
You're Fairfield.
He does chin squats and regular squats.
okay, we respect him as an artist,
do. He's
you know, for more than his
fantastic.
body. Okay.
I am
So,
gonna objectify Henry Cavill a little bit, okay?
yeah.
Okay, I'm done.
Okay, so one thing I was trying to find out, did we talk about the movie or the series or adaptation, the visual adaptation of Red
Not yet.
Rising? Have we-
Not at all.
Okay. Excellent. Go.
So what
can you
about
say
it?
if you
Were there
can
any
say
specific
anything?
questions?
What can I
What can you
say?
say if you can say anything? Basically, is there anything that can be shared about this show? This is from Anthony Palumbo.
Yeah, there was a adaptation that was in the works with Universal a while back that fell through, but then I was able to retain the rights, and then I put together a team. So there's been constant interest in it, and a lot of different companies and studios were trying to get it several years ago. And then I thought that the best way of making the show would be to find the people who'd be working on it first. I know it's a novel concept, but put together a really cool team. And we've been with the streamer for a while developing it. Hopefully we will get the green light soon, but that all depends on people who are not me. And so I think we're in a great place, and I think it's going to be really spectacular because the reason it's been so slow is they don't want to mess it up. And I do pay attention to how much I hate notes. I hate notes a lot, but when you are dealing with executives who are being perfectionists because they don't want you to screw up your own work, that's pretty cool. So hopefully the patience pays off. Again, that's not my call because I'm not going to be the one investing the money into it. But the fortunate thing is there's so much money being invested into it that they want to do it right. And I hope that this is why, like 2 years ago, I said, soon you'll get information. But the thing is, it's taken longer than I thought because Hollywood moves at the pace of, I don't know, arthritic squirrel and molasses. And so, sorry if anyone has arthritis here, or if there are any squirrels in the chat. But the
You
point
guys
is-
were talking about an amputee, and thankfully our current attendee who is an amputee was not offended.
Yes, he's very
Charles.
cool. And now he's going to get a shout out like Leroy Jenkins style Charles. And then
Yep,
it'll be
Charles.
like, for instance, if Cassius loses his leg and screams Charles, and Severo's like, "Why are you screaming Charles?" He can just be like, "I don't know." It'll be like,
Wait, where is Charles? I thought he would get on the chat. Where is he?
Yeah, it's just like I just felt that
He
someone was
left
speaking out to
after
me
you
across
guys
the void.
started.
Yeah.
There he is, Charles Ryan Barber. Hi.
Charles, appreciate you taking it.
What's up, Charles?
All right,
so,
cool.
yeah.
So thank
So-
you for addressing that.
Yeah, so it's been worked on with a lot of man hours have gone into it. It's one of the reasons book 6 has been delayed, because I've had to write the pilot script and then rewrite the pilot script and then rewrite the pilot script. And so fortunately I have another writer working on it with me now. And I think we're gonna have some cool news in 2022 if that squirrel gets out of the molasses.
I volunteer. If you need any art, I volunteer. Just
Oh, I
say
thought
no.
you were gonna say if you need any squirrel encouragement.
I only have birds and cats. I don't have.
Cats
Sorry.
are great encouragement to
Prod the
squirrels, I'll just
squirrel.
say.
Okay, all right. I think this could be cool for everybody to answer. What's your favorite book that you've read this year? This is from Patrice Walter. Who's ready? Who's gonna
We're
jump
gonna
on
start with PB this time since she shoved off the duty.
it? She looked real nervous. Uh-oh.
I got you, Alexis.
Thanks, Pierce. That's super nice.
Remember to
Red
lean
Rising.
close. Lean close.
My favorite book this year. I need a chance to look at my Audible, so I'm going to shove this off to Joel.
Oh, I'm literally pulling up my Audible account right now because I forgot how to read.
What?
Is it a good book if you can't remember it?
I will go.
Well, this is the thing. So, okay.
You guys
let me
know? You guys okay?
Let me explain. I listen to an audiobook literally all the time while I'm working. So I go through approximately 3 books a week, unless they're George R.R. Martin or Pierce Brown, and then I go through 2. Honestly, what's sticking out to me right now is just the most recent thing I read, which I know is not a good answer to this question. Excuse me, I said read, and that is not really, I don't know how to read. I just listen while I paint. So, I'm gonna also pass this up to Alexis while I scroll through
Wow,
my
we are never
audio.
gonna end this.
Anyone have an answer?
I have a book where I write down everything that I've read. So I
that's
just have
awesome.
to check it. But
You are.
I
able
haven't
to.
read like hardly anything in the last 4 months, so I had to think back. But I read one book twice, and it was Project Hail Mary. So I have to say that one. I read it. I got an arc early, and I read it, and then I was like obsessed with it, and I kept telling my husband like, oh yeah. So when it came out on Audible, we were taking a drive, and I read it again, and then we named our cat Rocket. So yeah, there's a little bit of that in there too. So Project Hail Mary. That's the
I'll
one.
put it on my list.
That was Andy Weir, right?
Yes, Andy Weir. And I loved The Martian. So I was really excited about it. And I was thinking, is it going to hold up? And it was very different, but it was like, oh, it was so good. It was so good.
We got to come to the San Francisco signings. Andy usually hosts for me there.
Oh my gosh, I would love to do that.
The last time we talked about whale sex for about 5 minutes, and I didn't.
I'm going to rescue
No.
you from this because I do have my answer. I just scrolled through my audiobooks and I went through approximately 150 books that I listened to this year. And I got to say the Shattered Sea Trilogy by Joe Abercrombie, which I'm going to do a little teaser here for y'all in the know here. Pierce and I have been wrestling with bringing in some other authors into the Shit Escalates fold and expanding all of that into something that has more folks involved in it. So Christine's doing this. I'm not supposed to talk about this. But that's all I'm going to say. We talked to Joe. We can't work with Joe because Joe is tied up in some rights, but we're thinking about other spaces that we could set our incredible team of artists loose on.
Yeah, we should give Jay a call. That's a good idea.
So anyway, the Shattered Sea Trilogy by Joe Abercrombie.
Wait, what's the first one called?
The first one, Half a King, I think. Is the first
King.
Okay, I've got those books. I'll put those on my.
They're amazing. And I would also say I would recommend not starting with the Shattered Sea Trilogy if you're new to Joe's world.
Okay.
Start with The Blade itself.
Got it. I have that one too. I have like all the books. It's fine.
That's it.
Yeah, Joe's great.
He's great.
I would say either I really like historical fiction. So there's a book called Killer of Men, which is about fictional character. Well, actually not a fictional character. It's about Nestos of Plataea. When in the Battle of Marathon, when the Athenians first fought the Persians, there was only one ally of the Athenians that came to their aid, and that was about 1,000 guys from Plataea, this tiny little town that was between them and Thebes. And it talks about, it's by Christian Cameron. And it's basically, I think it's a 7-book series that I ripped through and absolutely adored. And then I would say, because I love anything set in the Greek time period and area. And then I would say Homo Deus. I forgot the guy's name, but the same guy that wrote Sapiens. And Homo Deus talks about how collective myths basically guide civilization. And it's things like the Constitution. We wouldn't think of it as a collective myth, but it's part of the American fiber of what connects us all together is our understanding of the founding fathers and the Constitution and things like that. So he talks about how these commonly held beliefs basically are the fiber that connects human beings and civilizations, and can, from faith itself all the way to governments and concepts of morality. And I found that really influential in my writing.
This is why artists actually run the world. You don't know it.
Well, the problem is we're usually dead when that happens.
Yeah, damn it. But storytellers, it's the things that weave us together. PB, what do you got?
Okay, so according to my Audible, I have listened to Project Hail Mary 3 times in the past 4 months. So I think that probably qualifies it. But if we're gonna go, so I can't steal Alexis because that just feels wrong. I Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. It's probably my favorite book of the year. So yeah.
All right.
Okay, so I've got 3 questions left. Do you have time for 3, Joel?
We got time for 3. Christine, do you want to put that link in the chat so that everyone has it? If you have to run, but you still want to join, she's going to pop the link in the chat to the teleparty so everyone can jump on that. It looks like most folks have stayed on for the whole
We've
time.
only lost a few.
It's amazing.
I told you there were squirrels out there.
I'm going to blame it on Pierce's beautiful face. But we'll put that link in the chat. We're not going to cut off if anyone's worried. And yeah, Christine's going to stay on at the end of all this to make sure you all can get on teleparty if that's complicated. But we have time is the answer.
Great. Okay, so this is from Jennifer. Since Mustang was the new point of view in Dark Age, what about writing in her voice was the most intriguing?
Ooh, the hardest thing was that she's supposed to be the smartest character, and I'm not as smart as she is. So how do I create a character who can be surprised by things to create a sense of tension while at the same time not lose her credibility? And it's an extremely difficult tightrope that has to rely upon other people messing up. And I guess it works because she, any person has bandwidth limitations and she can't handle everything. So she trusts other people to handle their security and then they can fail. But I'd say what was really fun about her was seeing her perspective of, Darrow, seeing, how she manages this person who is like who in many ways is still in love with Io, who also resents Io, and seeing the complications when a life is dominated by one person, Io, but then she still knows she owns Darrow's heart. So it's complicated, but Mustang.
I was literally wondering why everyone was commenting cat butt in the chat.
I apologize. This is Ari.
Joel.
Joel,
Ari.
I'm like, gosh, Tamara is a troublemaker. And then I see that you've got a cat fight.
Sorry, not my fault. She does it every time.
Okay. Thank you. That's great. I was really interested in that question. That answer. Not about cat butt. Okay, so this is for everyone, all the panelists again. Caleb Millam, I hopefully said that right, Millam. Out of the wonderful universe Pierce has made, who is your favorite character?
Ooh. Okay, I'm gonna go first. I have I have a heart answer and I have a head answer to this question.
There are no restrictions.
My heart answer, and this is, I think, probably comes out of the fact that I also agree with PB that this is like one of the best friendships that I've ever seen written is Severo. Just because that interaction between Severo and Darrow is so good, and also because Pierce is one of my best friends in the whole world. And when he writes Severo, I'm like Pierce's friend. Maybe I'm a small part of Severo.
Yeah, a little not all the way.
So that's my heart answer. I fucking love Severo so much. And then my head answer is obviously I'm a fucking Violet. So Mickey the goddamn Carver is everything.
Oh yeah, Mickey.
Awesome.
Who's going next? Is it
Well,
me?
you, because you talked. Yeah.
So yeah,
Drew
I
attention
agree,
to
like,
yourself
you
and
can-
made eye contact.
you
so.
can't you can't not love Severo, but like every time I read it, I also find myself really loving like Lorne and oh shit, I think I drank too much. Why did I forget his name?
What does he
What
do?
am I
We'll make this a guessing game.
Yeah, like
Characteristic.
explain him.
Shit.
We have
Yeah.
over 400 people. We
Is
can
he
figure it out.
stereotypically handsome?
That's all right. We'll take Alexis off the spot.
Fitchner, there we go. Shit. Okay.
Fitchner.
Fitchner, my
Yes.
boy.
He's so funny. Like he's just, oh, I love him. So basically just that family.
Yeah, hard household to grow up in, though.
Yeah.
PB, go.
Okay, so I have a heart and head answer. Like my head answer is Severo because Severo's been favorite from day one, but my heart answer is Ephraim. I love Ephraim so much, and I'm so just, well, no spoilers here, but that's why I want to know who hurt you, Pierce.
Oddly enough, PB, that was the first, whenever my first ever like pitch for doing like something that wasn't Red Rising was a TV show. It didn't get picked up, but they asked me at the end of it, like a big, like this big producer who's had a lot of shit done. He's just like took me aside and he's like, "Who hurt you?" And I was like, "Oh, I did my job. It was affecting."
All right, here's, I don't know if you can you answer this? Is this like picking a favorite child? Can you answer the question? Who's your favorite character?
I feel like you've answered this question before.
Yeah, but it always changes. So
Yeah, that's true. That
I mean,
is true.
Apollonius, Apollonius the Minotaur, because he's just so id, you know. He's like,
I'm trying not to read into this too much.
no, it's because he's so, how do I say, he doesn't have to be redeemable. He's just so crazy and he's so him. You know, with heroes, they have to be redeemable. And that can be really annoying, to be honest, because what you have then is dissonance between what they do in the book violently, or a lot of the fun things characters do, a lot of the fun things villains do are bad deeds. And even if they do something violent that is, you know, good, it's still kind of a violent and bad deed and it has to be redeemable. You know, whereas Apollonius can do whatever he wants and he's just entertaining because he's just trying to entertain himself because he's so bored by commonplace things. And so Apollonius is really fun. Victra was a favorite for, you know, quite a while. I love her because, you know, she is the first character that ever says she like literally thinks lying is beneath her. And I love that. But then there's Ephraim, who really grew on me because, you know, Ephraim, he's so jaded and he keeps pretending like he doesn't care, but he really does. And you know, the entire time. And he's just not good at caring, you know? He's not good at expressing that he cares. And I think we know a lot of people like that who are just so in their own way that they can't be loved. And, you know, if he would have seen the love around him, he would have had a much better life. And that poignancy makes it really, you know, affecting character.
Did everyone answer?
Everyone did. Everyone did. I
Okay.
think we have time for one more question and just
Yep,
a plug to
that's it.
everyone.
Yeah.
We are gonna watch
Ephraim
Blade
would be
Runner.
the babysitter, by the way.
It will happen. And so sorry, we're half an hour past.
Oh, Blair, you didn't answer.
I don't have to answer questions.
Yeah,
because
you do.
I've been.
Yeah,
Yes, you do,
Yeah,
Blair.
you do.
You can change the rules. I make the rules.
Sorry, peer pressure.
What favorite character? Go.
Victra.
Victra. Solid.
Yeah, I mean Mustang's a close second, but female solidarity. Okay, so this is a little bit of a plug. Lover fan, the fandom, and so we're gonna go with one of our favorite fans. Just kidding, she's been here like forever. Tracy Book Fairy Cornelius, also the admin of Hick St. Leones, one of the biggest fan groups. So if you need support or conversation, go find the Howlers and Hick St. Leones on Facebook. Tracy's question is, in a non-specific, spoiler-free way, will book 6 be the utter death of my soul? Which I'm okay with it if it is. Which I'm okay with it if it is. I just want it to end that way, end the way that makes sense for the series and the story. But the reason she's asking, and I have to look at this up, she wants to confirm it in a tangible way so she can start preparing her liquor stores and clear her schedule and book an appointment with her therapist and buy a puppy. So,
That was a cute question.
yeah, I thought that was great.
The answer is no, because if I kill your soul, what will I work with next?
Answer. And there you have the other answer, Tracy. Hopefully that ends this on a great note. Joel, wrap us up.
Wrapping everybody up. Okay, so we are going to transition to Netflix Teleparty. The link has been put in the chat. It will be put in the chat again. Christine,
Send me the link too.
the link. Do you have the link? Have you?
I got the link.
Okay, so here is just for folks who may or may not have done their homework. If you have not downloaded and installed the Netflix Teleparty Google Chrome extension, this will not work for you. So, assuming everyone here has actually done their homework, I don't want to see any. Good. This is you guys actually.
Oh,
did
by the
it.
way, guys, should we do this? Do you guys think we should do this again?
I feel like we should do this again.
Yeah.
I don't know if they liked it. I don't know if anyone had fun.
Yes, we got.
Sure, this is great. Oh my God, yay.
I feel like we should make this a yearly Christmas party, and I hope very soon that we're able to do this actually in person somehow.
I know it'd be so fun to get PB and Alexis around actually, because I feel like it'll be more fun to do the talk back and forth, because it's so hard not over talking over people,
Yeah.
That's never as good as in person, even though we pretended it. Maybe someday we'll be on the metaverse together.
Apparently someone in Canada can't join. It's region locked, so there's no
Oh, okay.
possibility.
So question, there is information to be passed along from the maestra on my right over here. We apologize. Netflix has a regional locking out of various titles, so we know that in the United States Blade Runner works. I don't know if it works anywhere
VPN
else.
it if you don't have a VPN anyway, you should get one. And this, if you
A
appreciate
VPN may or may
it-
not be a workaround, because we've had some folks having issues with VPNs already
Really?
today. I don't want to speak for that. It might be, it might not. I'm sorry for anyone who cannot have access to it. It does work in the United States. As of today, Blade Runner is accessible on Netflix. So,
Well, if you don't have
Sorry
a VPN, be
about
responsible
that,
and get a
Canada.
VPN.
We've learned from this lesson. Thank you.
I feel like Netflix might lock out VPNs. I have no idea. I'm speaking entirely out of my ass.
They can't keep up with the updates of VPNs.
Okay.
So some might be, but not all will be.
So we will be starting the
do lock it
movie.
up.
I would say we'll give everyone a minute break. I would say we'll start around 9:15. In 10, we'll start at 9:15 to make it simple. 9:15 my time. I have no idea where you all actually are, because you're all over the world.
Yeah, and guys, thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming. And when the world turns a bit more normal, I think we had so much fun here that we'd love to do these things in person. And
Absolutely.
real events out of this. And if anyone was at Howler Fest several years back, thinking how fun it can be, and this crew with this artists, but also with the kind of pack that Shit Escalates followers and friends that we've built, I think it would be really fun to have an intimate gathering and do this and figure out a way in the coming years to get together. So thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for your loyalty to the project, Red Rising itself, but then also Shit Escalates, because it's so fun getting to build stuff with friends. And it's a lonely pursuit being an artist, but this kind of stuff makes it fun, especially hearing PB and Alexis suffer from the same problems Joel and I do when we sit down. So thanks so much, and love y'all.
And I just also want to chime in and say thank you so much to PB and Alexis for taking the time out of busy holiday schedules, coming and joining us tonight. That was really fun to chat about creative processes. And I've so enjoyed collaborating with both of you guys, and I'm looking forward to more in the future.
Yeah.
So.
And everyone kept the chat clean. What other fan group does that? That's crazy.
Then
It's
nobody does
crazy.
it.
All positivity. I love it.
Howlers for the fucking win.
Can you see
So thank you guys.
I'm gonna stay on, and I will talk about stuff. All of our panelists are welcome to turn their screens off and take a break. And
a shout
then
out-
we'll see
and
you
one
guys
more-
on the chat.
One more shout out to Blair and Christine for
Yes.
putting us all together, and for Blair for being the administrative organizational behemoth behind Shit Escalates. So love you.
Thanks. And piercebrown.com.
All right. I'm gonna stay on. You guys can all bounce.
Real people,
anybody-
not animated. Sorry.
All right. Bye,
We'll
panelists.
also
We
do
love you.
animated in the future. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Bye,
Thank
guys.
you so much.
It was so much fun. Thanks.
I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Log
I
out.
think you're supposed to hit leave or something, Pierce.
Yeah,
This
I'll
is-
leave.
yeah.
Yeah.
Love you. No.
Bye,
Love
guys.
you.
I'm
Bye.
staying. Pierce is
Love you, man.
leaving.
Turn off your video.
Or you can turn off
Oh,
your
yeah.
video, or you can just stay and hang out with me. That's fine too. I don't know.
I'm cool doing that. We can keep talking.
Yeah, we can keep hanging.
Uh,
Anybody in the
Tish-
chat, I'm gonna start going into help mode here. If anyone's having trouble, let me know in the chat because we are gonna go live here in approximately 10 minutes on
Prequels? Oh, that'd be so fun. I always need. Oh, Connor, there you are, my boy. Yeah, sorry, I didn't reply to your DMs. I do want another sword. I think an Apollonius one will do the best.
Connor.
We
Oh,
can chat.
good. Connor,
Connor,
people
I
were
love you.
asking for you as another panelist at some point.
Connor. I love you. I'm sorry that you're in a panelist on this one. We'll put you on the next one, I promise.
The Gold's Leaving Earth would be so cool. Conquering thing. I've been thinking about
You're
that.
just
for a
gonna read
while.
all the things.
I
Is it
am because I like this.
I love it. No, is somebody are we able to
Oh, the
share a
Rat War.
screen so they can see how to log on to Teleparty?
I can do that. I don't know if I have actually here. Let me just make sure I'm set up.
we
I
also-
don't know.
I have a share screen
Send me
option.
the link. I don't. The link isn't showing up on my chat. Where do I find the link?
Right there.
The Rat War would be really fun.
She
Yeah.
just put it in.
Got
Oh,
it. Okay.
I think you also need a Chrome browser.
Oh, I live on Chrome.
Yeah, I don't have my laptop because I'm never on the internet.
Okay, we're good. Everyone's on. Alrighty. I'm just gonna make sure all my other browser
On
links.
Merrywater would be really fun in the Conquering. That would be delightful.
Here's what was the book that you had mentioned again? Someone was asking. Historical fiction.
Homo Deus, 2 words, and Killer of Men.
Killer of Men and Homo Deus?
Homo.
Homo Deus. Okay. There you go, honey.
Well, this is.
Thanks, Caitlin.
Downloading Chrome. Oh, thanks, Logan. I appreciate it, brother. Well, you get some more Cassius in this next one.
Oh, do you guys have drinking game rules for? I don't
Oh
think
my
people
God,
in
we didn't
one-
talk about these
Yeah,
at
that's
all.
what I
I'll
would
talk about
do.
these in the chat. I'm
We
so
put-
sorry, everyone. We do have drinking game rules. With the rule I will be playing by, and I believe Pierce has also acquiesced to this. The main character, Blade Runner, is of course Harrison Ford playing Deckard, and he is a big drinker. So I'm gonna drink every time he drinks. That's my game. Pierce, what are you gonna do? I don't know if you're still on here.
Yes.
Oh, he's on silent. I don't know if he is listening. You're on mute.
Yeah, I was telling my parents they don't need to like hide anymore.
People were asking what the drinking game is. I said
Oh,
we're
yeah,
drinking
we're-
every time Deckard drinks, but do you have
Yeah.
any additions to that?
I mean, we could do it every time he smokes, but then we'll all just be drunk.
Yeah, that's true. We would all be very drunk. Yeah, that would work.
Do you want some other ones?
That would work. I feel like no one is having any issues. I don't need to share my screen. At least I haven't seen any.
Chance, you want to kill us all, man.
Hey, what's up, Dylan and Chance? We need to hang out in Oklahoma sometime. Just putting that in the chat.
Well, you know this people?
I do. They're fucking Oklahoma howlers, baby.
Oh, that's fun.
Because I have to file sales tax for these assholes every time they buy something. So, yeah.
Alexis is not allowed to drink.
I'm
by
just
the
kidding.
way.
They're actually some of my favorite howlers. To everybody who doesn't actually know, Chance was a genesis of these because he messaged me like 6 months ago and was like, "We need howler ugly Christmas sweaters," and that literally was the genesis of this whole thing. So,
not yet,
shout out to
Christine.
Chance, thank you. Alrighty, how we doing, everybody? I think we are ready for me to turn my screen
I think I
off.
got too drunk before I got teleparty, so I'm really like navigating in
I'll call you and get you on there
Uh-oh.
if you need to.
I was
don't
gonna say Pierce, Joel, maybe you guys drop off and Christine and I stay on the chat. I think people will stick around.
I've got mine set up and ready to go because
Well, I
I'm
think people are
prepared and
gonna
I'm on
stay
top
on
of
and-
it.
Okay,
You
I'm
know.
gonna migrate and try to do that. Love y'all. Catch you later.
No one's gonna leave unless you guys just get out of here.
Okay,
Go.
we'll leave.
Get,
Guys, get out of here.
get out. 9:15.
Anthony, probably not, but we can do this again and we'll have more Q&As. Ciao, ciao.
To my laptop.
Yes, Liz, I know. Stick around if you have problems. Put it in the chat if you have problems.